Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Focke-Wulf 190 A4 sitting at 4.3 battle rating. A plane we have looked at before, but I wanted to look at some 190s and we will do in the coming weeks. Several of them I'm planning to look at because the Focke-Wulf 190s have received flight model buff. The elevators have been fixed mostly. I'd say they are noticeably better than they were before, not as stiff as they were. As we look at that D30 and we shot off one of his wings in that critical hit, which is good. And next to the flight models being changed on the 190s, also we have the change in the guns from 20mm onwards. The cannons have been improved a lot and might actually be very close to the pre 1.59 level when they were still lethal. After that they were changed and we've been having these gimped cannons ever since, and now it seems that they are working again, so that is good. I still have to get used to the sound though on the 20s. The 151s had the best sound for guns in the game in my opinion, and I loved it. And I really have to get used to this new sound that the MG 151 20mm have, but that's life. The maximum speed of this plane at sea level without WEP is 536 km an hour and with WEP 543. At 4500 meters without WEP it is 468 km an hour and with WEP 482. And then finally at 6500 meters she'll go up to 434 kilometers without WEP and 457 kilometers an hour with WEP. Pretty decent the speed in a straight line in this plane. At the lower levels it's pretty good actually. Top speed in a dive, that's where the plane really starts to shine. The top speed in a dive is 865 kilometers an hour before it redlines and 900 plus kilometers an hour before it rips apart. I did not manage to rip her before it crashed, and I just took her up to 6500 meters, tried once from there, and after that I tried from almost 8000 meters, but it didn't get her over 900 kilometers an hour. So it's pretty good in a dive. It's difficult to rip in a dive, let's say. The control stiffening, I think almost impossible actually. The control stiffening in the plane already starts at 500 kilometers an hour, but it's very mild in the roll rate and the elevator stays relatively functional. At 700 kilometers an hour the roll rate starts to suffer pretty badly, but the elevator stays functional and you only start to notice differences in the elevator after that, so that is good. Doesn't stiff up in the dives so much anymore as it used to, and that really is a boon to the plane because you start to become more lethal in the longer dives, which this plane really was made for as a boom and zoomer, of course. The stall speed in this plane is 165 kilometers an hour. The plane has excellent firepower with two 20mm MG 151 cannons with 250 rounds per gun. These are placed close to the fuselage and I used air target belts on those. Then you have two 20mm MG FF/M cannons a little bit further in the wing with 90 rounds per gun, also air targets on those. And these are finally also supported by two 7.92mm MG 17 machine guns with 900 rounds per gun, and I used universal for that. Very good firepower then, excellent really, and you have some devastating firepower when you have all the guns. The 20s in the wings, of course, further in the wing, those will run out pretty quickly with 90 rounds per gun, but 250 rounds per gun for the inner pair is fantastic. Ammo load does also excellent, even though the first or the outer set runs out of ammo pretty quickly. Acceleration in the plane in a straight line is decent, and in a dive it's very good. Energy retention in the horizontal very good, and in the vertical good. This plane is pretty decent in the vertical, although the climb rate doesn't really support it. But the energy retention is good in it, so the average climb rate in the plane does make it functional, let's say, especially also the stall speed with 165. It's not stellar, let's say. Could have been a little bit better. Would that have been a little bit better? There we go for the LA7. But unfortunately it's not. So the overall functionality in the vertical is good, but not stellar, let's say. Turn time in the plane is average, decent with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 730 kilometers an hour, so there is that. And with the current elevator, the decent turn time with the flaps can surprise an enemy or two. Especially now that they're not fully aware yet of what the 190s can do. But they will be, and they will know pretty soon. The roll rate in this plane is fantastic. Of course, as we know, the 190 is always the staple of excellence when it comes to roll rate. And the A-4 definitely fits that picture. Maneuverability overall is decent. Overheating in the plane is not a problem at all. And I did not have a problem cooling this engine when it did overheat. So yeah, not an issue in the Focke-Wulf A4. Durability in the plane is decent. It can definitely take a hit or two and fly on, and you can get her back to base often. So there is that is very good. This plane really is a boom and zoomer, which you want to use from altitude, so you definitely need to side climb a little bit and then get this plane into action. It is not the best energy fighter, but it is not bad at that either. I wouldn't call it a turn fighter either, although the maneuverability has improved from before, and it's definitely decent with good flap usage and stuff like that. And the roll rate you have, you can definitely surprise people who try to jump you with its maneuverability. So there is that. Yeah, and the cannons, man, the effect of them are really improved with these gun change that they did. The MG 151s are almost back to their old self, I would say. You do still sometimes get hits, and I wouldn't say it's completely at the 1.59 level, but it's still much more close to that than it was before, so there is that. As we are in this duel with this I-185, and he is playing a good game right now. He's keeping out of my reach while trying to jump me, seeing what I will do. And we are trying to prevent that. And we don't want him to make a good approach, of course. My ally was killing vehicles. Our tickets are much better than the enemies. And it can happen anytime, so I would love to get this guy into my guns, but I have to wait for a second for him to come into the ideal range. Turning against a plane like this, when you are in the situation I'm in, should be around somewhere between 150, 1 kilometer, 500 meters, and 1 kilometer. And it's to your discretion and how fast the enemy plane is and how you want to do that. Let's see, we've got Final Blow, Terror of the Sky, and Bulletproof. 39,000 Silver Lions and 2,400 research points. First place in the team. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. The Focke-Wulf 190s, yeah, definitely the elevators have been unlocked, let's say. And it has much better elevator authority because of it, which is good in turns, which is good in general maneuverability, in the defensive flying, in getting guns on targets. And yeah, it's great, I have to say. Feels much better. But it's still a 190, let's say. It hasn't all of a sudden become a Spitfire or a Zero. So you still want to boom and zoom in it. And the plane has become a little bit more forgiving, which is good. And I think a lot more people will flock to this plane. Also, not only because of that elevator that has been changed, but also because of the gun change. The cannons are now much more effective as they were before, and thus you will get more results with these planes, with your effectiveness in your aim. So there is that too, and that combination makes the change in the Focke-Wulfs immense, because of course most of the Focke-Wulfs rely on 20mm MG 151 cannons. Most have 2 or 3 or 4, And with this buff, the firepower has increased exponentially. And then also having this improved maneuverability makes the plane a very, very lethal opponent. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.